Robbie Hart? Oh, man, I heard what happened to you at your wedding. That was so cold. You must have felt like crap.
No, it felt real good. Thanks for bringing it up, man. Hey, my parents died when I was 10. Would you like to talk about that?
No, why would I want to talk about that?
I don't know, especially when you could listen to this episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
Reflux capacitor, fluxing, crew to stations, scanning for The Wedding Singer, 1998. Prepare to rewind in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome, Rewinders and new listeners, to the Retro Rewind podcast, where we take a fresh look at movies and games from 15 or more years ago. I'm your captain of the pod, Francisco Ruiz, and I'm joined by your XO and mine, Paul, the master singer, interrupter powers.
Hey, friend Psycho, we're not going to discuss this, okay? It's over. Please get out of my Van Halen t-shirt before you jinx the band and they break up.
Oh, this is because I didn't marry you.
Partly.
Also, for this discussion of the film, I know I got the line wrong. For this discussion of the film, The Wedding Singer, we welcome back aboard Administrative Officer Ashley Cronenbitter.
Hey, everybody.
Hey.
I think you're not going to be Cronenbitter for much longer, right?
No, I mean, something is happening soon and it's going to be different.
Oh, okay.
I think it might be a last name that people might have heard before.
Oh, interesting.
Is this a theme?
Oh, you know what? This is a wedding singer. There's lots of weddings. And maybe it has something to do with that. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, you'll have to pay attention to next time Ashley's on to see if you sussed it out correctly, good listener. But thank you for being here, Ashley. And we're now going to continue on with the show as I peruse my notes. Now that you have a quick flyby of who we are, Paul, can you give us a quick overview of the production specs for The Wedding Singer?
Oh, The Wedding Singer, not The Wedding Ringer. See, I'm listening, right?
Good.
Okay, good.
You're listening.
The Wedding Singer is a musical based on the 1998 film that was released on Broadway in 2006. It was nominated for the Tony Awards for Best Musical.
Like this.
What is going on? Oh, speaking of singing, check this out. What the heck is this about?
I just want to stop you in your tracks because Paul,
What?
The Wedding Singer from 1998.
Oh, the movie.
Yeah, the movie.
Oh, that
Paul.
would have been helpful if you brought that to my attention yesterday. All right, hold on. All right, The Wedding Singer was released February 13th, 1998. That one?
Yes.
Okay, good. It's a Valentine's movie.
It is.
It runs an hour and 37 minutes and is rated PG-13. It's directed by Frank Karachi.
Karachi?
Don't come after me, Frank, you and your buddies. I know about you. It was written by Tim, one of his buddies.
Early?
Yeah, sure. And it was with lead stars being Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore, and Christine Taylor. Haven't seen her in a while. And the music was composed by Teddy Castellucci. Are you ready for the box office trivia?
I am ready. Ashley, are you ready?
Go. Yeah.
And those of you not watching live, feel free to join in too, except no one's watching live. Go for it, Paul.
All right. The Wedding Singer was made for about $18 million and earned over $123 million in the box office.
Well done, Wedding Singer.
Given this and the fact that it was released theatrically in 1998, how high in the box office do you think it ranks among the movies released in 1998? We'll go with the top 50.
All right, Ashley, what's your guess?
Gosh, I'm having trouble trying to figure out, was 98 the year Titanic came out?
No, 97.
Okay, because
Wow, you're good.
I was going to say, if it came out the year Titanic came out, it was in trouble.
Yeah.
But 98... I don't recall there being a ton of big movies that year. So if we're going out of top...
Saving Private Ryan would argue with you.
Yes. I've never seen that movie, sadly.
Or Godzilla.
The same demo.
Oh, yeah,
Saving Private
definitely.
Ryan and Wedding Singer, yeah.
Yeah, same demo. But let's say if we're going out of 50, let's go with 22.
22, okay.
Nice.
My guess is going to be a little higher than that. I'm going to guess 13.
Okay.
Paul.
Bobo has 42.
Oh, yeah. Bobo always has 42. So good job, Bobo. If it ends up being 42, what was it?
It actually came in at 30.
30. Okay.
So, Ashley,
Good
congratulations.
job, Ashley.
Cool.
Well
I
done.
like winning things. And I definitely feel like I won a prize recently, but
All right. Good Captain. Tell her what she's won.
You've won an all-expense paid trip to a wedding.
Where there's going to be a singer.
Not really. Just there'll be music. Anyway. Oh, my word. Yes, there will be some wedding humor throughout this, you awesome listener. But thank you for those factors, Paul. And let's see if any of them factor into our memory mind meld or subsequent roundtable discussion, which we'll get into once Alice has located our target film.
Take it away, Alice.
Alert, alert. Approaching target. Spoilers incoming. Establishing analysis vector.
Robbie Hart was the best wedding singer around.
Hey, somebody get some pants on that kid!
Until he got stood up at his own wedding.
I'm about to marry a wedding singer?
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
Now, he's met his dream girl.
Whoopity-doo!
Adam Sandler and Drew Barrymore.
You like her? No, I don't.
The wedding singer.
You are the worst wedding singer in the world! Sir, one more outburst, I will strangle you with my microphone wire.
Rated PG-13. Starts Friday, February 13th.
Yeah, I don't know about that Robbie. I have some memories of him, and maybe you guys do too, but let's see what our collective memories were in our memory mind meld synopsis for The Wedding Singer. An 80s obsessed Billy Madison is a moderately successful wedding singer looking forward to his own upcoming wedding when his fiancée ditches him. The water boy gets roped into helping plan Josie Grossie's Has that never been kissed?
Yes.
Okay. Josie Grossie's wedding, and they develop a crush on each other. Happy Gilmore follows Olive, the other reindeer, to Vegas to stop her wedding, only to encounter her on the plane. He sings about growing old with her, so they do. Yeah, that was definitely... deceptive. I mean, because Josie, all these people weren't in this movie. I don't know what characters these were. Not at all Drew Barrymore or Adam Sandler. But based on those memories, as flawed as they were, what range did they lead you to predict for this film before rewatching it? Classic, nostalgic, or tragic? I'm going to start with Paul this time.
I predicted classic.
Classic. How about you, Ashley?
classic.
Classic. I also predicted classic.
Whoa.
So this has a high bar to fill, and let's see if it meets that.
We just reviewed 50 First Dates. Are we sure with these predictions?
Well, yeah, but this came before that. So
Yeah.
maybe it
All right,
has a
we'll
higher
see.
chance.
And this was the whole reason why they even made 50 First Dates, because of the chemistry between the two leads.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Without this, it would have never been made.
Exactly.
true.
So maybe there's good reason to like it. In fact, let's talk about the things we liked about The Wedding Singer. Let's spin up our...
Best three.
And let's start with Ashley. What's one thing you really liked about this film, Ashley?
I feel like the film did a really good job of convincing you that it was set in the 80s.
Yes.
I really enjoyed the costume design and the music and the set design.
All the props.
All the
CD
props.
player,
Exactly. It really made you feel like you were part of the 80s environment. And the jokes about when Glenn comes and he talks about it's a CD player, it plays CDs, and they wanted to play a record. It was like really cool that was a prop piece, and it made me chuckle, and all of these things that I didn't experience because I grew up in the 90s. So seeing this movie and seeing all these references, I would always ask my mom when I would watch it with her, is there any truth to this? And sometimes she would be like, Yes, but.
Yes, the CDs are a yes, but, because I don't think at that time, I don't remember them calling them CDs. They call them compact discs. Because that's like, nobody calls it like a laser disc, an LD, because it didn't catch on with the popularity.
Yeah.
So we know CDs, but back then he would have said compact disc.
Exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah. Good point. I never think about that. But I feel like so few, just to a bandwagon on that, I feel like so few films, there seems to be, like, nowadays, we're recording this 2022, the last few years has been such an 80s craze, like that's all in pop culture. I think Stranger Things was a big part to play in that, but I feel like this movie it captured the 80s so well. It's only like a decade post it, so it's pretty it wasn't all accurate, but I still feel like it's really
one of the few movies that I think that actually does.
Exactly.
It did it justice, and it was just a fun time travel piece, right? It was
It's
fun
like-
traveling back and visiting that time.
It's almost like a period piece, except for the
Exactly.
80s.
It is definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, what would you say did the most justice about this movie for you?
Well, not the most.
Not the
just.
most. Yeah. Some justice. Some level.
Speaking of 80s, I thought it was really great to have Billy Idol in there to cameo. It would have been. Now it almost made a dislike that he's like 10 to 15 years older than he was back then. In fact, they show a music video of what he looked like then, and then you're like, is this his dad?
Well, I think they show him like drinking a lot, so he's supposed to look like he's wasted. So
but yes, it was great to have him in the film.
Yes.
In fact, I wish that they could have had a little more cameos in there.
Yes.
But it was great to have him in there.
I think if I read trivia right, he was originally supposed to be played by David Lee Roth.
Oh, that would have been cool too.
Yeah. But they, I guess, couldn't get him, so they did, because the guy who defends him on the plane, who says no one talks to Billy Idol that way, the script said no one talks to
David
Lee Roth that way. So
nice.
But I think I have more appreciation for Billy Idol just because of this film. I don't really know if I listened to any of his music before that. Something I liked, though, not having anything to do with Billy Idol's music, was I thought they set up Glenn really well as someone you really just don't want to see with Julia.
Oh yeah.
So many romantic comedies have like the main love, the female love interest, or even the male love interest for that matter, being with someone that they like, and they just like sort of like, oh, we're in a nice relationship and it's okay, and there's no real reason that that he or she shouldn't be with the other one,
or he's like a complete villain with no good redeeming qualities about him.
Exactly.
Right. This guy's at least handsome and rich.
Yes, he's handsome and rich. Yes, he has that going for him for sure. But he's like womanizing and all that. So, so I think they do a good job of, and the way he treats Robbie later and Julia, just as I just like only wanting to stay with her because he doesn't want to break up, and he can trust her because he didn't have money before her. So I think they set him up as a believable villain that wasn't like over the top, like you were saying, Paul, or wasn't just this nice guy that I'm sad that he doesn't end up with anyone just because someone better came along.
Right.
So,
that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll have more to speak on that.
Oh, nice.
All right. Not in this section, but
wow.
On the complete reversal, but I'll have something to talk to later.
Well, I mean, he was.
Let me guess, you don't like Don Johnson either. No, because he was dressed up as him in the movie.
Well, but Ashley, you like Beauty and the Beast? He's a regular guest on this character. Come on.
Move it along.
Fine. We'll move along to something else Ashley liked.
Well, Glenn being a side character, he really didn't do much for me, but other side characters in this movie were just so delightful. I really loved how they incorporated such a menagerie of different side characters, from Sammy the limo driver, and he actually had character development. You usually don't see that in Adam Sandler movies with the secondary characters having any kind of growth, any kind of character to them, except for like maybe a punchline or something like that. So it was really nice having that, and the character of Rosie, this lovely, adorable older woman that was taking singing lessons with Adam Sandler.
I want to see you.
And it was just so delightful. Even the character of Holly, Julia's cousin, she was like a Madonna wannabe. Seeing Christine Taylor was really nice. And I even liked other characters that were one notes and they just popped up like...
Yeah, well, before you get to those characters that you mentioned, usually you only see them in one kind of scene. So it was nice to see them throughout the film. Yeah,
and you actually saw them in different settings as well, because it wasn't just the wedding venue at the reception hall. You saw them in different areas of their life, helping Julia plan her wedding and going on double dates and hanging out together. So to have that development of side characters, it was unusual to see, but I was along for that ride, and they were very believable characters.
I'm curious, how did you feel about Julia's mom? Because I feel like she made sense as a mom, but I don't
because it's Ross and Monica's mom.
Well,
exactly.
But I'll have
the same actress and
it's
the same role.
What is her name? Christine Pickles? Is that the actress's name?
Right.
Yeah, that's Tommy's mom, right?
I know Christine Pickles was in this. I'm not sure if that's who.
No, that's the mom, because she was Ross and Monica's mom on Friends. But I'll have more to speak about her.
Along with Billy.
not Billy. No one talks about
Glenn. Yeah,
I'll have things to say on the flip side.
All
but
right.
Who is Billy?
Billy Idol is
Not-
what I got.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, no
Sorry.
one talks
No,
to
it's
Billy
Glenn.
Idol that way. No,
Yeah.
it's Glenn, not Billy. But
Yeah.
but in defense of these characters, I feel like they were really well rounded and enjoyable.
Yeah,
Well, that's because they
absolutely.
keep eating lots of carbs.
Oh my gosh, Paul.
No, it's nice to see those. I agree with that.
Absolutely. Let's see. What else was agreeable for you, Paul?
Well, this might be somebody's classic maker, but I really enjoyed the chemistry between Drew Barrymore and Adam Sandler. It's a real a positive note for me on that one.
Yeah.
And I'm sure other people might say more about that later.
Maybe they would.
But I don't know what this. This is like the third or fourth Drew Barrymore movie we've reviewed, and
Is
it's
it?
Ever After, 51st Dates.
Oh,
This is at least the
yeah.
third, if not more.
Third
E.T.
E.T.
So
it is
maybe
the-
more.
I guess you'll have to do Never Been Kissed. Just get all of those rom-coms knocked out.
Yes. Yeah.
But she's just delightful. Like
we haven't done Charlie's Angels.
No, there's one that she's not as delightful because that's not her character.
Well, yeah,
No.
So
I just
yeah.
can't remember. Okay. So you just like Drew Barrymore. Would
Well,
you like
and
their
the
chemistry
with Adam
Yeah, would you-
Sandler, yeah.
Did you feel like their chemistry in this one was better than in 51st Dates? as
It's
a comparison?
their best chemistry
Yeah.
between this blended and
Yeah,
whatever.
it set the stage for all those movies to come.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, because it did so well and they were so natural together, they thought that let's look at Lightning in a Bottle and see if we can do it again.
Yeah.
And
Do you think it? So
I think
I
it's
was
the writing.
I was looking. 'Cause this was written by someone else in 51st Dates, but it was
Yeah.
the same writers like Happy Gilmore, Billy Madison, lots of
Oh, interesting.
Adam Sandler's other movies,
Yeah.
even after this.
Yeah.
Even all the way up to like The Hateful Eight, or not the
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
the
I don't-
Western Netflix. The Adam
Yeah.
Sandler
yeah,
did.
never, no idea.
So it's just interesting that it seems to work so well this time. Do any of you have a sense, either of you, because I think you're both on the same page there, as am I, as to why this one seemed to work better? Was it just a matter of the writing or these characters?
You know, this is. I have a sense that the studio is more involved, maybe because Drew was more involved,
Oh,
and so they had a little more. At least that's what it seemed like, because it is pulled back from a lot of the other Adam Sandler movies that don't do as well.
Yeah.
and something else I was reading, I didn't realize this. Again, IMDb trivia, grain of salt. Apparently, Carrie Fisher did a doctoring of this script,
Oh.
and she was really working on the Julia character and making her a lot more just not fleshed out, but just more real, I guess.
And
So-
she felt real.
Yeah,
Both characters
absolutely.
felt incredibly real. And I
Yeah.
think that's why you're rooting for them.
Yeah.
Because that chemistry was there and it didn't feel like they were exaggerated characters like in so many of those quintessential Sandler movies. Everyone just feels like a caricature of a real person.
Yes.
And in this movie, it was not that way at all.
So there's your answer, Francisco.
Thank
It's all
you.
Princess Leia's fault.
Script
Apparently,
doctor.
she didn't need Obi-Wan Kenobi this time.
Yeah.
But speaking of the characters and the believability, I thought Adam Sandler just was able to pull off heartbrokenness and still be comedic so well in this, especially
Yeah.
during so they set up the whole movie with this first wedding performance that sort of sets the characters up, and then he gets stood up at the altar, and then he does a wedding right after that, and he's just like, he's so broken of spirit, but I feel like he just exudes that so well, just tries to struggle through like this thing. I forget what the song was for that one. Do either of you remember?
He did a couple songs.
He
like-
he tried doing a version of Madonna's Holiday.
Yeah.
He's like, Holiday.
But then after that, it was like an anti-love
Yeah,
song.
he was singing Love
Yes.
Stinks.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
Love Stinks, that's
And he
right.
basically, and it was comedic because he was like, I'll never find love. These people will never find
Yeah,
love.
yeah, yeah.
And yeah, he totally like got all defensive and yeah.
So I just thought he pulled that off really well. I didn't feel at any moment that he was chewing up the scenery or just being not breaking the fourth wall, but being just overboard or something. So
You believed him.
yes, I believed what he was going through, and I believed him as a character for sure. So that was my other like. All right, with that, guys, I think it's time to get into our classic makers, the things we loved most about The Wedding Singer. Ashley, I'm going to start with you. What did you love most about this film?
Okay. So it is related to what Paul said, but it is not necessarily the same exact thing.
Okay.
So their chemistry was so believable, but what I appreciated about this film and what just tugged at my heartstrings was the wholesomeness of their love story between Robbie and Julia. How it was just so innocent, and it started as a friendship, and it just blossomed into something so much more. And I don't know, it was just so believable because a person could go through something like that and have this friendship foster and create this beautiful love story. And it was just so sweet and innocent. And all they did was kiss. It was so nice to have a rom-com that didn't have too much physicality to it. It was really nice to have a wholesome movie because I got exposed to this movie when I was I was about 11 the first time I saw this movie. And even though it's rated PG-13, I don't think it was bad to have seen it at such a young age because the two leads had such a wholesome relationship. And barring some language, I feel like this was a movie that you could watch with your family. And fun fact, I do watch this with my family. We watch it about every year because it is my mother's favorite Sandler movie. It's one of my favorite Sandler movies, and we can actually quote it because we've seen it so many times. So yeah.
Go ahead and quote the whole movie right now.
Not going to happen. But
man.
Yes, the wholesomeness of their love story. It's believable. It's beautiful. It's sweet. It makes you smile, and there's moments that you will well up and cry.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to
disagree.
We're gonna have to review Office Space so I could get that sound clip and just play it. Like,
oh my gosh!
Because
don't you have enough with your Arnold Schwarzenegger? Aren't these enough for your vengeance?
Not yet.
I'm actually gonna have to agree with you, Ashley. But it's for my classic maker. It's actually going toward the tail end of their romance, and I adored how Robbie's telling all the first class people this story about what's going on, and they just are. He starts telling
they're so engaged in his story.
They got nothing else better going on in first class.
But still, it's just so sweet that they all want to help him. And Billy Idol's like, right, it's just. I just love that sort of something like that. Sandlot. I really adored that, and that he sings the song, and then you have this sense toward the end that Billy Idol's like, I'm going to tell those record company guys about you, and so that you sort of know that he's going to be able to go on and do his dream job, and I just thought that was really, really cool. So that's my classic maker. Paul, you disagree with us about something, but is that your classic maker having to do with that?
No, my classic maker is the opening like that Ashley brought forth. This is just all the 80s references. Like, I'm a fan of the 80s. I'm one of those that love the 80s. So if you don't love the 80s, it's watch out for this movie. There's a lot of references, but just everything that you were saying, the commercials, the clothes. I mean, they even have the DeLorean in there.
Yeah.
With the DMC scratched out or something. They didn't have it out on the fender.
Now that you say that, that's right.
That is true.
It is iconic.
Oh yeah. You can't mistake that.
Yeah. So I loved all the references, the commercials, Yeah.
Oh, like the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah, it's time to make the donuts.
Yeah.
I already made the donuts.
Yes, I remember that commercial. Oh my gosh, that's weird.
Before my time, but it was beautiful nostalgia.
Well, you remember it from this movie, right?
Yes, that's the whole context I have.
Yes, awesome. Well, very cool, Paul. So the overall nostalgia was your classic maker.
Yeah,
is that right? Yeah. All right. Well, awesome, guys. So many things that were great about this movie, but I think it's time to talk about the things we didn't like.
Nope. What?
I forgot something else I liked, guys. I'm sorry. The Cellcast. The Cellcast, hosted by Jacob and Drew, review animated movies and TV shows discussing what they appreciate about the medium in whatever form it takes, whether it's traditional hand-drawn animated movies, claymation shorts, or 3D CGI series. Check out some animated reviews when you subscribe to The Cellcast at thecellcast.podbean.com. And don't forget, Cell is spelled with a single L and also with a C. At thecellcast.podbean.com.
Wait, the Cellcast only has one C? Is that for the cell or is that for the cast?
As opposed to SELL, it's CEL.
Oh, okay. That's great. But what does that have to do with The Wedding Singer?
Well, spelling lessons. Wasn't that? Oh, wait. We weren't reviewing Spelling Bee. No. And The Wedding Singer, well, I think it's obvious to you, Paul, that Adam Sandler voiced his own Adam Sandler-ness 8 Crazy Nights.
Okay.
And Drew Barrymore has done lots of voice acting work for animated stuff, including like Family Guy. She's done lots of voice.
Olive the Other Reindeer.
Yeah.
She's Olive.
I don't know what that is.
It's a Christmas special. Go home and watch.
Maybe I want Christmas. But so they're in animated things, and Cellcast covers animated films.
Wow, that's actually a very distant, remote, far-stretched connection you got there.
Thank you. I worked very hard to make it so. Sounds like you want something closer to home. Maybe some trivia about the Wayne singer.
Yeah.
All right. Did you all realize that the butterfly jean jacket that Julia wears, or Drew Barrymore wears, throughout the movie belongs to Drew Barrymore herself?
Oh.
Director Frank Karaki, what did you say?
See, he's coming after you.
Yeah. Liked her jacket and told her to wear it as part of her costume. So my question for you guys is there some apparel or accessory you have already that you would want to be in a part of your character if you were in a film?
Oh, that's a good question. Yeah, do you have an answer?
I do.
Okay.
I'm looking at it right now, actually. So I am a pin collector, and
Wait, pin like you pin?
Pin.
Like P-I-N or P-N?
Enamel pins.
Oh, okay.
So I collect enamel pins, and my preferred way of displaying these enamel pins, I have a what is called an Eda bag, and you put the pins on display. Mm-hmm. And I have multiple Eda bags, and I am never seen without these. Oh, just because it's a way for me to express my fandoms.
That's the see-through, so you could see the pins in the bag.
Yes, exactly.
Okay,
and I've got pins from so many different fandoms. Like I've got Beauty and the Beast pins, I've got Kingdom Hearts pins, I've got Star Wars pins and Disney pins, and I have had so many conversations with people that go, "Oh, I love your pins. Where did you get them?" And it's always been a conversation starter, and it's just a way to express my interests. And I feel like it's a thing a lot of people do, but I can't recall ever wanting to not be without these bags because it's just fun to display these pins.
That's awesome. Okay, so your character would have your Eda bag.
Yeah, my Eda bag with my fun enamel pins.
Nice. How about you, Paul?
So I don't have this particular thing, but I would like to wear a shirt that it just looks like a cool design. Mm-hmm. But if you look further, it says pauljpowers.com on it. So I think I need to design that shirt somehow and make that would be fun.
And on the back, say white text on black background. I hate white text on black background, something like that. Awesome, guys.
What about you, Francisco?
That's a great question. I mean, I usually wear cuff jeans. I used to have my classic style that's in like the artwork for the podcast, which is these brown cargos and teal shirt. Oh yeah. Which I have long since not had for a long time. I'm trying to think if there's anything, accessory wise.
If only you had known this question earlier.
That could have been brought to my attention yesterday!
Wow.
I mean, it's not like you wear a Fitbit every day, but
but that's more recent.
And so many people do that, so I guess that wouldn't be really unique to you.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't have a great answer other than I'd wear probably
a pauljpowers.com t-shirt.
I would wear a pauljpowers.com t-shirt.
Cuff jeans.
Yes, and cuff jeans. Exactly.
Either way, that's great trivia, Francisco.
Thank
especially
you,
about that's actually Drew's jacket. That's fun.
Yeah.
To know. All right, let's find out what memories you, our rad rewinders, had about The Wedding Singer.
Okay, let's start with, let's have Ashley join us this time.
Patrick Edwards says, John Lovett's audition scene steals the show.
He's losing his mind. I'm reaping all the benefits. Drake Tungsten says, do you really want to hurt me?
Yes. James Felix quotes,
I have a microphone, and you don't.
So you will listen to every word I have to say!
Wow, it's amazing how James recorded that for us and sounds so much like Adam Sandler.
Yeah. Well, this is also what Alex Ortiz said.
Julia's last name's gonna be Gulia. Julia Gulia. That's funny.
Man, they both sound so much like Adam Sandler. It's fascinating.
Incredible. And David Bobkey says, great soundtrack. That kid that Julia dances with who lifts her skirt up, he'd get Me Too'd so fast now.
Yeah.
Probably some other things about this movie that don't hold up very well. I wonder what those things are.
Oh, you know what? That's a great point, Bobo. Let's talk about the things we didn't like about this film. In fact, let's spin a bower.
Worst 3.
Alrighty, let's start with... I'm actually going to start with Paul this time. What's something you didn't like about The Wedding Singer?
Okay, this movie opens up with Adam Sandler singing "You Spin Me Right Round, Baby Right Round."
Like a record.
Now,
baby.
at the time, I don't remember being so taken back by this, but I'm going to blame Simon Cowell because that is just so hard to listen to now. Just his rendition of singing, because
really?
I love the people who sing it. Who sings it?
Dead or Alive?
Yes.
Oh.
They do an amazing job. Billy Idol does an amazing job. I listen to it. They're on my playlist. And then I hear Adam Sandler and it's just not good.
Oh,
it's
really?
a great song.
I think he sings well, but...
Yeah, well, like I said, I didn't mind. So that's why I'm blaming Simon Cowell because of all these I've heard better.
He's upped your expectation.
Yes. And so do these other
Okay.
people. And it's like, oh, why are you destroying a classic?
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so you just didn't
So
like...
it just the whole movie, and the movie starts out that way, but it also kind of gets you ready for what's about to happen.
Yeah.
But it's just a jolting
I get
start,
that.
and it's
Yeah.
the whole song he sings. It goes on.
Yes. All right, that's fair.
But I do enjoy the not black text on back or white text.
Yes, I
on
like
black
the little
background.
glitter.
Yeah.
Yes, that was really nice.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah. But I was gonna make a joke, but I totally lost it. So never mind. That's just like for me that I forgot my joke. Ashley, what's something you didn't like? I mean, I know you sing beautifully, as lots of people who have heard you know. What was the singing something that bothered you?
Nope, the singing didn't bother me in the least. I think Adam Sandler actually has a pretty decent voice.
He does, and I do like his songs.
No, but that I agree with you. That song kind of falls flat because there's so many better versions of it. So I can't.
Okay, yeah,
I
like,
can't
this
agree
isn't
with
Lunch
that.
Ladyland. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it's clearly not. But going to a completely different point that I made earlier about side characters and enjoying specific side characters, there was one in particular that I really didn't enjoy, and that was Julia's mom. Now, Christine Pickles, you and the wedding singer.
I thought you were going to say Steve Buscemi's character because he was so unlikable.
No.
How does he become the wedding singer at the end?
He was really unlikable, but his one-liners, ooh, I like her.
Yes.
And his little quips, like he was fun to enjoy, but thank goodness he was only on the screen for a few minutes.
Yeah,
but his character was written that way.
Yeah, his character was written that way, and her mother, just all the things that she said, like you could understand, like she cared about her daughter, but the way that she showed it was not great.
Yeah, and
suggesting a fake pregnancy or saying like, that girl's getting married, you're much prettier than her and she's getting married. I really did not like the character at all, and having
also written that way.
Written that way, and she was definitely unlikable. And is it Christine or Christina Pickles? I can't remember her name. But she's a famous mom on the show Friends. She's a very talented actress, but I really did not like her character. And she portrayed her in a... Christine?
It's Christina.
Okay, Christina Pickles. Her character was very unlikable, but she did a great job with it. I just do not like the character.
Yeah. And I really didn't appreciate how she was saying how I shouldn't have married your... Essentially saying she shouldn't have married her father for all the same reasons that she's telling Julia to marry Glenn. But she's saying that Glenn's a keeper. I'm like, you're saying...
Yeah.
Well,
and she's saying that he's better. At least that she knows.
And she's going to be at a better place in her life than her mother was. And then she talks about how everyone gets cold feet. It's the jitters. And it's like, just because it was true for you doesn't mean it's going to be true for everyone.
Did you get cold feet, Paul?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
Yeah. Well, you were my best man. You were there.
I don't remember.
didn't. Yeah, I was, but not enough that I expressed it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Not serious. Like,
okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem true for every single person.
Yeah. Though we'll find out here in a couple days. Dun, dun, dun.
So far, the answer to that is absolutely not.
What, are you getting married or something, Ashley?
I think so.
Whoa! Okay.
I got to check my calendar.
This just in. Mine. This is probably my most minor of them. Is There are several moments of ADR in this where the lips don't match.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Yeah,
I didn't either.
There was, so at the bar mitzvah, there were some kids that were saying, "Oh, pick me, Julia, pick me."
Yeah, I saw
and
that.
it wasn't matching
Yeah,
the
I
kids.
did notice that,
No,
but
that
I
was
figured
true.
it's a crowd scene, so
And then
I was going to let it slide.
John
But not
Lovitz,
Francisco.
there's a part where I forget where exactly he's talking to Julian M or something. There's one part where it's just not matching. The sound sounds fine. Just the sound matches the quality of wherever they record live, but it doesn't. It's not.
fit.
It's not going.
Well,
with his
I'll
lips.
tell you what. I think it's worth having him say a better line.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is frustrating to see those.
Yeah.
little
You never
things.
want those things to be out of sync.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. What is this? Godzilla?
I was thinking the same thing.
So that's.
I was gonna say subbed.
Oh my gosh, that's one of
Dubbed.
my dislikes. Let's go back to Ashley. What's something else you didn't like?
Okay. Something else I didn't like had to do with another side character. No.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get to that later.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to get to that later. But yeah,
Foreshadowing.
but yes, foreshadowing because I got to create the story first.
It's building momentum.
Yes,
Exactly.
getting some traction here. But my second thing that I didn't like was I felt like it was unnecessary for the character of Linda, Robbie Hart's fiance,
Oh,
who left him at the
yes.
altar to actually come back.
Yeah.
Because somehow she's suddenly okay with the fact that he's just a wedding singer.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you have to add the word just, you're coming to this realization that you're probably not going to find anyone better.
Right.
And you're like, well, I made a mistake. I got to come back. But she was doing it for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And with her having that evening with Robbie and the Drew Barrymore character finding him, it was just creating conflict for conflict's sake. I don't really feel like it needed to happen because there was enough
Well,
conflict.
none of it needed to happen.
I know, but
How did they make this movie?
having this scene there, like there's enough conflict with the character of Glenn and the tumultuous relationship that he has with Julia. And I know like it's the launching pad that kind of sends her off to Vegas.
Yeah, I
and
was going to ask,
whatnot.
how would you get to Vegas without that?
I don't feel like she needed to come back.
Do you think? Well, I agree with you.
Then how is she supposed to find Robbie with another woman?
Well, here's the thing. I think you could have. I mean, it would have like reduced this movie by like a half hour, which would have been probably too short. But you could have essentially launched her with Glenn to Vegas after he comes back from the bank, and she says, "You a-hole,"
and throws
and she could have just been
paperwork,
done and
yeah.
wanted to go with Glenn then.
Yeah.
But
because-
there's this back and forth where they had to
Oh,
really
I see.
solidify their feelings, even though they couldn't express it, their unrequited love.
yeah.
But I feel like that would have probably been a better place because then it just feels like this ping pong that is just taking
The
up time.
problem is that she gets upset for nothing because he's absolutely right.
Wait, he's absolutely right about what?
That she is marrying, at least what he's been told. He's just repeating what somebody said.
Yeah, it was her cousin Holly.
Yeah, that said it exactly.
So what's the big deal?
No, I'm just saying that would have been a good launching point to Vegas.
No, but why?
As opposed
no,
to,
it isn't because she shouldn't have got upset. At him for trying to like get out of his sister's and brother's basement.
Yeah, well, because I
talk about creating conflict for conflict's sake. That goes in line in my head with that.
I see what you're saying with that.
How can you be so selfish?
I imagine. So here's where I'm speculating.
Oh, does this need to? She's already gone on to say it's gone too long, and here we are making it longer. Okay, go for it.
I want to hear your twist on how you would make this better.
Yeah, this is much better.
Well, I have a microphone.
I do. You guys do
We
too,
all
but
have
yes, we do.
microphones.
So here's how I see her interpreting all of that in Robbie's that sort of spat that they have before she throws up the music sheets that says written by Robbie Hart.
Music and lyrics by Robbie Hart.
So I think given their budding relationship, their friendship, like you were talking to Ashley, I think she gets, I think they've had this conversation over the ice cream that he just wants to really like write songs that he thinks that's like one of the most beautiful things to do. Am I remembering that right? That happened before? I guess that makes sense. That's why she would get that present for him.
Yeah. And she does the line about how she just envisions it's someone that she can grow old with.
Yeah. So I think for him to all of a sudden do this 180, he's becoming someone that she knows him not to be, and so she's calling that out, and so since she's getting pushed back, that's why they have this conflict.
So it needs to be written better.
Yeah, it needs to be written
okay.
better. Yeah, exactly.
Okay, I can go with that.
In fact, hire me to script doctor that part. The story. Carrie Fisher can do the Julia character. I'll do the overall story. It'll be great.
Oh, you should title it
Francisco's Fabulous Fan Fiction.
It's fabulous.
Right on the business card like that.
Wow. Okay, so that's the thing. That's not something else I didn't like. That's something else you didn't like, Ashley, right?
What about what?
You didn't like that there was this conflict.
Conflict for conflict's sake.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It just felt unnecessary bringing this character. Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, she had her point in the moment, and I thought like it was perfect in the beginning. I woke up one morning and I realized I was marrying a wedding singer, and she like came to this realization that the version of Robbie that she was in love with was the Robbie from the past when he was going down this different path, and she came to this realization that she didn't love him anymore.
Could have been brought to my attention yesterday.
Exactly.
And her coming back is just like, I guess she ran out of options, and she doesn't feel like she can do better.
Like, exactly.
And it's just kind of a shallow plot hole. I don't really care for it.
It's essentially saying, I'm settling for you. I'm just settling for you. So
well, that's why he says no.
Yeah, exactly. Which I'm glad he does that.
Someone who's so desperate and lonely, I was shocked that he would reject it. But
that's a good point.
That helps sell that he needs to reject it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So.
Though, speaking of conflict, that sort of leads me into something else I didn't like, which is, this old guy that's in the bar. This is after Robbie comes back from seeing Julia, really happy.
I used to be much stronger.
You need a prostitute. So that part, I used to be much stronger. I was like, Robbie's telling Glenn, okay, I beat the crap out of this one kid in school, and now I'm going to beat the crap out of you. I wanted to see that fight. I want to see this old guy punch Glenn for nothing, and then say, "Oh, I used to be stronger," and then Glenn decks him.
Yeah, I was about to say, Glenn knocks him down.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But if Robbie had gotten like the first punch, I feel like it would have gone better because that's a sucker punch. Robbie wasn't paying attention.
He's a bigger, bulkier guy. I mean, he's channeling Don
Scrappy.
No, this isn't Back to the Future as much as Tom. Oh, what's his name? Sorry, Tom Wilson.
Thomas Wilson.
Tom. Yeah.
It would have been. I think would have been another great character to act
as
play
Glenn?
this role. As Glenn.
That would have been. I think he would have had to get a little shredded because.
In either way, but he's not going to be knocked out in one punch.
Yeah. All right. That's fair. All right. Okay. But I would have rather seen that fight and see Glenn just authentically beat him. I guess you could have gotten that same point. I just don't like that this old guy got in the way.
Yeah, and it kind of felt cheap. Didn't it feel just a little bit cheap because he's like, sorry, I used to be much stronger, and then Glenn's able to get the upper hand because Robbie wasn't able to land the first punch.
Exactly.
And then he makes fun of him, and he makes this like
little dance
and this fake song title, and then the old guy's like, I think it'd be a country song.
Yeah.
And those scenes.
I think that old guy, every joke is lame.
What?
Like,
Is there? So I haven't seen Blended. Is there an old guy in Blended too?
No, but there is a Terry Crews.
Oh, okay. Well, I like Terry Crews, but is he not that good in Blended?
I didn't like him in there. He's a little too over the top.
He is a little over the top.
Well, what was over the top for you in this film, Paul?
Well, going back to this line.
Well, I have a microphone.
Oh.
And you don't.
So you will listen to every...
No, we could just cut you off. And because we all have mics and we all know that, as a master interrupter, you can cut off anybody with a mic.
Yes.
You know this, sir. You're running the soundboard.
Indeed, I do.
Especially if you hire a wedding singer. Where's the security? Where's this interruption by him going Adam Sandler's character, like you said, he's going through the character-wise. He's going through a tough time, and his character would do this, but for the family, everyone in that reception to put up with it for that long, and it just goes on way too long. It's just totally unbelievable to me. It just goes on, and it does not make any sense to me as far as this film is concerned. Okay, you had several save the cat moments where Billy saves the drunken best man, and then the boy barfing.
You mean Robbie, not
sorry. Sorry, Billy Madison. But then you have him to go like destroy the cat with these gigs afterwards.
Yeah.
So you were rooting for the guy. Now you're kind of like, he isn't all that great. Maybe she deserves somebody better. At least that's what I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it just goes on way too long of a scene.
Yeah.
Did you feel like it went on too long, Ashley?
It did go on a little bit too long because after a depressing version of Holiday and then going into Love Stinks.
Yeah, right there should have been cut off.
Yeah. He should have. And then the fact that it just got blown up over the time and there's like police there and everyone left and Julia comes back and she's like, just a couple wedding guests who are being interviewed by the police. And it's just like, okay.
I thought that was funny. But
that escalated quickly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it shouldn't have gotten to that point. And I agree with you. It wasn't all that believable because, after someone's singing Holiday like that, it's like, we're paying this guy to be here.
Exactly.
I'm like, can I get my money back?
Absolutely. Yeah. I would only want my money back, too. In fact, maybe there's a reason we would have loved to have our money back from watching this movie, whether we bought it, rented it, or saw it in the theater. Let's get into our tragic makers for The Wedding Singer, what we hated the most. And for me, it's that it actually... So it's related to that old guy scene, but I feel like the movie sort of really slows down when we get to that bar. And I think this goes to the whole conflict for conflict's sake. You have this back and forth between Robbie wants to be with Julia, then he feels like she doesn't want to be with him. Then Julia wants to be with Robbie, but then she finds Linda.
That sounds like a rom-com. That's how you set it up.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's so much comedy in their sort of budding romance and their friendship that you could just have more of that. And I feel like
no
it'd be fun.
conflict.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting.
I think that'd be nice.
You know what? I agree with you in theory, but for some reason it doesn't work. It doesn't test well.
Yeah, I can see that because people like drama. And,
right.
Yeah. If things are too easy.
There's no story. Boy meets girl. They fall in love. The end.
But I love the wholesome, beautiful story.
I do too. I would love to see it done well. But
but so far they haven't been able to do that in any kind of medium. I would love to see that though.
Well,
I feel like movies like
I was about to say they do have a category for that. It's called slow and boring.
Oh my gosh.
Ah, darn.
Well, here's the thing. I think that movies can do it. Well, I was going to say Family Man does it in a way, but that's more of a drama and less of a rom-com.
Yeah.
So maybe I should be watching dramas instead of rom-coms to get what I want.
Then there's conflict.
There is conflict, but it's a different kind of conflict.
But it's a different kind of conflict. It's not conflict for conflict's sake. It makes sense. Sometimes
the rom-com conflicts.
Yeah, the rom-com conflicts are contrived and they don't always.
Maybe that's your tragic maker, is that these conflicts don't make sense.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Was that your tragic maker then, Ashley?
No.
That was your tragic maker.
No, it wasn't.
It was your tragic maker.
No, it wasn't mine.
It was my tragic maker.
Who are we on?
Who did that belong to?
That was mine, actually. I didn't like that the movie slowed down there because
with the bar.
Because this whole just back and forth conflict, I feel like it's just like, okay, let's just get on to the flight and him like winning her over in on the flight to Vegas, which is so great. I love that as a climax for this film, but I just wish it got there faster. So now that we've sussed out tragic,
you want a half-hour episode with no conflict. That's what it sounds like.
I realize there has to be some conflict, and you established conflict with Glenn liking other women.
Oh, the triangle.
Exactly. So
you want a triangle? When did this happen?
I don't want. I want that as a way of showing, it makes more sense for Robbie and Julia to be together.
I see. I see. It's the breaking up of a triangle.
I guess, but it's not really a...
No.
It's not the classic triangle where, if Glenn was a good guy...
Then it would be.
And just was, nerdy or something else.
With Betty and Veronica trying to choose between the two.
I don't watch Jughead, but yes.
At least you know who Jughead is, and it belongs to Archie and Betty.
Big poster behind you.
I mean, didn't all those guys date each of the girls? Like Archie dated both Betty and Veronica, and Jughead was just guest
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I guess.
Eating burgers and such.
Yeah, he loves burgers.
Yeah.
And that silly hat.
Burgers. And the other guy ate tacos? Yeah.
I don't know.
Regardless, that was my tragic maker, let's get on to one of your guys's. Let's go with Ashley. What did you hate most?
Okay. The thing that I hated most, I have always hated this.
Ooh.
I have always hated the character of Glenn. He is just so one note.
I didn't see this coming.
I'm sorry to all listeners named Glenn right now.
Yeah, apologies in advance if your name is Glenn. But this character for me was just unlikable. They were a one-note villain with no real development to his character.
Oh, and he got worse and worse.
He just got worse.
Yeah,
he did get worse and worse. But for me, his setup, it wasn't believable that there was any reason why he would have been with Julia, because that was really hard. Such a wonderful character as her being with this man. And it's like, yes, they've been together, and he makes a comment of knowing that he could trust her because she was with him before he got his money. But there was nothing that he did that made it believable that they would be together.
Yeah.
So the fact that
all happened in the prequel.
Yeah, I know, but there wasn't enough setup.
The wedding, the engagement singer.
Yeah, and the fact that the character of Julia was engaged to him for 2 years. They hadn't set a date. He was just kind of stringing her along. And then he makes all these
apologies to all listeners who've been married for more than, or been engaged for more than 2 years.
But
why are we apologizing?
It's a different context here because he's just stringing her along because he doesn't want to let her go.
There may be reasons that are legitimate.
You can tell that he cares about her, but he cares more about his flings and keeping his life the way that he likes it. And because he's such a jerk and the relationship isn't believable, it makes it a little too easy to empathize with the Robbie Hart character. You just root for him that much more. And it doesn't feel like it's a match between the two because you can see you can see from a million miles away that Robbie's going to get the girl in the end. And yes, there's conflict, but Glenn doesn't feel like a formidable foe. He's just a jerk. Yeah. He's just a jerk with money who likes to womanize and punch people in the face.
Sounds like a formidable foe to me.
And I don't know.
No one punches like Gaston. No one sings like Gaston.
But at least in Beauty and the Beast,
on Wall Street like Gaston.
I was gonna say, at least in Beauty and the Beast, I like Gaston. He's a lovable jerk. Glenn is just a jerk.
What? No, Glenn is very lovable.
Dimples, though.
Yeah, he's got those dimples and the Miami Vice shirt.
Yeah, and the half-shaven beard.
I can't. Yeah. The fact that his last name is Gulia and he would make Julia Gulia, that's just a disgrace. Well, I can't with him.
Again, apologies to all listeners with the last name Gulia.
Is that really a real last name? I feel like that's
it could potentially be, but apologies if that is your last name.
Like Cronenberger, that's not a real last name.
Hey, you watch it.
I'm totally kidding. Okay, but then that leaves Paul. What is your tragic maker? Is it Glenn? Is it the slowness? Is it not white text on black background?
Apologies to all listeners who agreed with Ashley as her classic maker that this was a wholesome get together between these two characters.
I feel like there's a lot of conflict at this table
because
I like Glenn. Ashley doesn't. Ashley likes the wholesomeness. You don't. Okay, tell me more, Paul.
Because I find this, especially a lot of the humor, is just unnecessarily raunchy to me, and it puts it down a level. For example, maybe the biggest one is like both him and her at the bar mitzvah are encouraging the hands on the butts, and he says, "Yeah, just go for it," and it's like,
"Go with it,
go with it," and like, no, this is
it's the 80s, man.
It's the age. You have these like little girls on Adam Sandler's grown man's butt. It's just like
that was a little bit of a stretch.
It's teaching these young men growing into young men that it's okay to grab women by their rear, and so that's just one scene, and there's a couple other scenes like I don't know what the old woman talking about young sexual stuff, and then you have young
that was weird.
Young kids talking
her history.
Like it's like swearing like old men kind of thing.
Yeah.
So this is not as quote unquote wholesome as a movie that I think it could have been, and I think it's worse off for it.
Would you say, Ashley, you were talking more to the romance side of it?
And I'm not talking about the overall wholesomeness of the movie. I was talking about the wholesomeness of their love story and the development of their romance,
as opposed to
the movie as a whole. Because yes, this is a rom-com. It's set in the 80s. There's characters that are set to be raunchy. You think of his friend Sammy, the limo driver.
Yes. Now I can understand if you have one character. Okay, that's his note. He's a raunchy character.
Yeah.
That's fine. He's not a little kid. He's not an old man. You know what I mean? It's not. There's some. I feel more on the inappropriate.
He feels like a real character.
Yeah,
because he is that.
Because he is that. Because he idolizes Fonzie and Vinny Barbarino. Yeah. But I'm talking to like it has nothing to do with the wholesomeness of the movie. It's just those two characters and as their love story unfolds.
Yeah.
And that's what I was pertaining to.
Oh, I thought you were saying that they were wholesome in their pursuit of each other.
No. It's just...
Why weren't they wholesome in pursuit?
Well, they did. Okay, they didn't sleep with each other.
Yeah.
If that's what you're going for. But I was like, well, encouraging other people to grab each other's butts.
Yeah, that's definitely
that's not about each other.
That's not about each other.
They did it together.
Okay, so they're buying Clyde then, Paul.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're on a rampage. Watch out, folks.
Yeah.
Watch your butts.
Yeah. Hold on to your butts.
Hold on to that. I should have said that. Hold on to your butts.
Anyway, so that's my tragic. I think this movie is worse off for it because of the raunchy humor that's unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
I can get that.
Yeah, and I was going to say, this is what I was going to ask you. Would you say it was raunchier than 50 First Dates, though?
No, I think it gets more and more raunchy as the time progresses from what I've seen.
In the movie?
No, in the Adam Sandler, Drew Barrymore movies.
Yes. So you'd say this was less raunchy than 50 First Dates. Yeah. I would agree.
Yeah, and as you go down into their trilogy of films, it just gets worse and worse.
Yeah,
and worse.
in every aspect.
And their characters that they play get worse and worse and worse.
Yeah, I don't know why you'd want to do that.
Don't mess with a good thing.
Exactly. But all right, guys. Well, now that we've entered all our trajectories into the firing computer, Alice, do you have a firing solution for us?
Maybe.
Firing solution complete. Rating salvo at the ready.
All right, let's rate those salvo authorities. I mean, we rate those with salvo authority? How does that work? Anyway, I don't know.
Salvo.
Yes, authority.
At the ready.
Whatever you say,
Alice.
Captain.
What's the deal, Alice? Is it at the ready? Is it authority? Because you sound... Anyway, we'll discuss this later.
At the ready. Anyway, now it's time for the moment of truth. Do we rate The Wayne Singer a classic? We recommend anyone go see this film, whether or not they've seen it before. A nostalgic, it's only worth seeing again if you have seen it before, but if you've never seen it before, just leave it alone, go watch someone else, maybe blend it. Or is it a tragic? We'd recommend no one go see this. If you've never seen it before, keep it that way. And if you have seen it before, don't sully any good memories you have of it with a rewatch. Let's begin with our guest, Ashley. What is your final reign of The Wayne Singer, having come from a prediction of classic? What did it end up being?
It's still a classic for me.
Oh my goodness. Really?
Absolutely.
Even though Glenn's horrible.
Glenn is horrible, but the character...
Contrived conflicts.
And contrived conflicts, but despite all the things that I didn't like and the things I absolutely despise, there's still more that I enjoy. And honestly, the relationship between Robbie and Julia is just one of the sweetest, sincerest rom-com couples that I think I've seen. And honestly, go Google it. They're on tops of lists as the most wholesome rom-com couple of the 90s.
80s.
But they were in the 80s.
I know they were in the 80s, but the movies of the 90s, it gets confusing, but they're just so sweet and cute that I can't help but just smile when I see them together, especially towards the end when he sings that song for her and they have the wedding scene, spoiler alert, for a movie if you've never seen it. But it's just so sweet. It is a classic.
Which is actually sung by Steve Buscemi. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it was Steve Buscemi.
Awesome. So classic for Ashley. Paul, how about yourself? You had predicted classic as well.
I predicted classic, and this viewing, it came down for me. I didn't enjoy it as much. It had been a while, and it's because of all the, the negative things that I said.
Yeah.
But on the average, would I recommend to anyone just out there? Yeah, but I would also, it's not one of these that you'd have to like run out and watch it, but and also
walk out and watch it.
Yeah. Or if you don't like the 80s or the 80s music, don't watch this.
That's a good point. Yeah, because there's a lot of I feel like it really leans into that a lot.
And it does it well for if you like the 80s. It does it well. If you don't, then just a heads up. But generally, I recommend to the general audience, classic.
All right, classic.
Watch it on a rainy day if it's free on streaming.
There you go. And for me, it's the same, guys. I felt a lot of this like made me tear up a lot. It made me laugh. I just really enjoyed it. So it continues to be a classic for me as well. So according to the Retro Rewind podcast, we rate The Wedding Singer a unanimous classic film.
Wow. It's been a while.
It has been.
Yay.
Whether the whole moving to 4 guest thing is really throwing us off. But I think that's a good call. But we're back to our roots here with 3. So with 3 classics, the Retro Rewind podcast rates The Wedding Singer a unanimous classic film. We recommend anyone go out and see this, whether or not you've seen it before. But now it's time to get back to our own time. Good old 20XX.
Comsat online. Receiving
20XX. Sorry, Alice.
Oh my!
I'm still waiting for her to get me back to me on the authority thing.
Oh my gosh! Oh, you're just perplexed by that still.
Yes. Sorry.
Wow. Well, it feels good to be back, perplexed or not. And we wouldn't have been able to travel back to 1998 to begin with if it weren't for our amazing reflux capacitors, namely Jared Holzhauer, Deborah Powers, Brian Keane, Patrick Hicks, Chris Cowan, Geek Devotions, The Untold Podcast, James Kennison, Drew of the Cellcache, Ashley Cronenberg. Oh, you're right here. Pastor Dewson, Kenneth N, Redeemed Otaku, That's Our Baba, Josh Adams, D. Tungsten, Andy Lewis, Jeff, The Dapper Man Reviews, Tony from the Retro Days, Mr. Lost, Daryl Hafner, Rosie, in addition to 7 other awesome patrons as well. Thank you all so much for keeping the gigawatts coming. And if you want to help keep us flying for as low as $1 a month and get bonus content for your generosity, head over to retrorewindpodcast.com/support to start.
This stream is sponsored by PaulJPowers.com.
And while we're thanking people, we also want to give a big 80s hug to Ashley Crowenbitter and for supporting us with her thoughts on The Wedding Singer tonight. Ashley, where can people find you online, or is there anything cool you got going on?
Well, there is going to be a name change coming that I need to speak of. So I have always said that you can find me.
Crab bag banana hammock.
No, Princess Consuela banana.
Oh,
hammock.
of course, yes, Princess Consuela.
But no, in all seriousness, for the longest time I have been known as APK1186,
Yeah,
but
that's right.
You're not going to be able to find me there anymore. So
are you going into hiding?
Not going into hiding and not going into witness protection. Something's happening, so just stay tuned and you'll find me in the future, but you won't find me at APK, and I might not even have the same last name.
Wow.
That's weird.
Changes.
I think you have to go to the government to do that.
Yeah, and it happens to be because of somebody else.
Huh.
It's not just
Uncle
me.
Sam?
No, not Uncle Sam and not just me. I mean, we've been talking about the wedding. We've been talking about The Wedding Singer, and yes, there is a wedding.
Oh, I thought there was a singer this whole time.
I mean,
this was leading up to a singer.
I am a singer, but I will be having a wedding.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you.
Aw, that's awesome. I bet.
Congratulations to the lucky man.
Yeah, I bet he's super just handsome and smart and strong and just does an amazing job in all aspects of life. I think he's just a really, really awesome dude.
Yeah, and you can find me, PaulJPowers.com at PaulJPowers.com.
Thank you again so much, Ashley.
Thank y'all for having me back.
Of course. Yeah. Thank you to my awesome friend
Hope
Paul.
we can find you in the future.
Indeed. You mean the past? Exactly. And thank you, all you rewinders, new
I was
or
thinking
old.
that joke doesn't work, but it does.
Yeah.
We travel back in the past.
Exactly. And thank you all for another fun voyage.
Again, you're welcome. PaulJPowers.com.
And you can find me on our Discord for show announcements or just to say hi. Join us there at retrorewindpodcast.com/Discord.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box, a curated collection of podcasts, videos, and articles that will provide you a balanced meal of content. You will find culture celebrated for its past and future, satirized for its extremes, explored in study, and created anew in story. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
Thank you, floating disembodied head. We are now part of the Culture Box Media Network. Find all the shows unpacking truth through story, comedy, and geekery at culturebox.media. And with that, Captain, we are on final approach to a wedding in the future?
What? Also, that floating head has a name.
Well, yeah, but he didn't say. Culture is his name culturebox.media? Like my name is pauljpowers.com?
All these secrets and more will be revealed in the future, but thank you so much, EXO, and thank you all for listening. We pray you are more joyful today than when you first hit play. But like a Pokemon, we gotta catch you all for Quigley Down Under. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Our next episode of the Retro Rewind podcast.
That's not a knife. That's a knife. Wait, that's the second movie, right? Or is that the first movie?
I don't know, actually. I think that's the first. I've seen it once. I think that's the first movie. That's not that.
Maybe we should review that movie first.
No.
Before Quigley goes down under.
Nope. No? They're not connected with each other at all.
You sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Oh, well. Let's see what the old lady has to say. What do you have to say?
I said hip hop, a hip to the hip hop. You don't stop the rock to the bang bang boogie. Say up jump the boot to the rhythm of the rhythm beat.
Another one bites the dust.
That's what I thought.
I thought that's what it was. I'm like, what are you singing, lady?